Good afternoon and welcome to the March edition of the Council on Aging. We have a very exciting and a very busy program, so let's get right to it. Commissioner Sanchez, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Andre, would you call the roll?
Yes. Commissioners Borghi?
Here.
Fotheringham?
Here.
Grimm?
C.
Loomis?
C.
Norkin?
Here.
Poprag? Absent. Shentes?
Here.
Searden?
Oui.
And Silverberg.
Present.
Thank you.
Now's our time for public comments, and our public comment for the day is from Glennis Bow from Buena Vista Hospice. Glennis?
Members of the Council and the general public, thank you very much for this platform. I would like to inform you that we have a forthcoming volunteer training day, which is going to take place in 3 weeks' time. As Mr. Searden has already announced, I'm Glennis Bow and I work for Buena Vista Hospice in Westlake Village. My role there is the volunteer coordinator. So we are very interested to hear from anyone who would like to find out more about volunteering for a hospice, and to let you know that our next training day will be on Thursday, the 26th of March from 9 until 4:30 at the hospice in Westlake Village. Most, but not all individuals are aware of the services of a hospice, so I just wanted to touch on that very briefly. The hospice movement has been growing from strength to strength in America from 1974, when the first hospice was opened in Connecticut, and Buena Vista Hospice is one of a number of hospices in this area. A hospice provides end-of-life care to individuals and their families, and the focus is on maintaining the quality of life of an individual as opposed to curative treatments. At the hospice, we have a team of skilled healthcare professionals and wonderful volunteers who visit our patients in their own home to provide physical, social, spiritual and emotional care and support. Our volunteers offer companionship and emotional support, or sometimes a period of respite, and we also have volunteers that help in the office. We are usually looking for commitment of 1 to 2 hours a week, but that arrangement can be extremely flexible. So what are the qualities of a volunteer, and is any experience necessary? Well, as we provide full training and support, no specific experience is necessary, but what is more important is that the person is warm and compassionate, has good listening skills and a caring heart. Volunteering is very rewarding, and there are known health benefits to volunteering, such as a lower mortality rate, greater functional ability, and there are lower rates of depression in people who volunteer as opposed to those who do not. So if anybody is out there and they feel the time is right for them to start volunteering, and you are looking for an organisation to get involved in where you can really make a difference to somebody's life, then we would be very interested to hear from you. Once again, my name is Glennis Bow and I work for Buena Vista Hospice. Our contact number is 805-777-1133, and the date again for the next training session is Thursday the 26th of March. Thank you very much.
Would you repeat the number one more time, please?
Of course. 805-777-1133.
And is there information available online?
There is. We do have a website, and I'm just trying to think of that stuff. I'm sorry, I don't have that to hand, but actually I probably can give you that. Do you have it? Oh, hold on. www.buenavistahospicecare.com, and there is a slight application process, but if you call, I can talk anybody through the process and answer any questions. And I do have some leaflets here that I will leave for any members of the public if they'd like them.
Thank you very much, Ms. Bell.
Thank you.
Any questions from anybody in the audience?
Just a question. Glennis, I was a little bit confused. Is this for positions at your facility as well as in a home environment?
The position for volunteering, I'm sorry, could you just repeat the question?
Is it for volunteering within your facility as well as in a home environment too?
The facility itself is more office-based. Hospice on generally this side of the coast of America tends to be more of a philosophy, and the nurses and the volunteers and the team go out and visit individuals within their own home. But we do have volunteers also that will help with administrative tasks within the office.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our first speaker is a very good friend of ours, Susan Cashman from Miss Senior America of California pageant. Susan?
Thank you. First, I want to thank everyone on the Thousand Oaks Council on Aging for giving me the opportunity to spread the word about the Senior California pageant. And now let's take a look at this. Andrea?
Hello, everyone. I'm Susan Cashman, Miss Senior California 2007, and I'm here to tell you about an exciting event that's coming to the Conejo Valley, the first ever Miss Senior Conejo Valley preliminary pageant of the Miss Senior California pageant. This will be held at the Goebel Senior Center on Sunday, May 31st at 1:30 p.m. We invite all women 60 years or older and a citizen of the United States to come and join this pageant. We need contestants. Let me show you some highlights from some of our previous pageants.
For me but to love you and the way you look tonight. With each word your tenderness grows, tearing my fear apart. And that laugh that wrinkles your nose, it touches my foolish heart. Oh, lovely, never ever change.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Fanny Currow. I hail from Hollister, the earthquake capital of the world. How have I achieved serenity and peace of mind? It's simple. I forget. The slander I have heard, the hasty unkind.
I believe there is a big difference between being older and being old. Some folks are born old and they never change. I never like to hear anybody say, "Oh, I'm growing old." I think it is far better to say, "I'm growing older."
even enter a beauty pageant. And when young women ask us what our secret is, we can say, it's in the stride of our step, the sway of our hips, the arch in our back, and the curl in our lips, because we're grandmothers. And when you see us walking by, you should shout with pride, there goes a grandmother.
Look at me and tell me what you see. You ain't seen the best of me yet. Give me time, I'll make you forget the rest. I got more in me. Can set it free. I can catch the moon in my hand. Don't you know who I am? Remember my name. I'm gonna live forever. I'm gonna learn how to fly. I feel it coming together. You can see me now.
He's the milk man.
I also wanted to look fabulous when I left that salon, so I brought my long, full-length fur coat all the way to the floor. I walked out of there looking this good, you know what I mean? And then all of a sudden, you know how you know when somebody's following you? You can feel it. You feel it. And I, what are you doing? And this little bitty person, I said, what are you doing? What do you want? And she says, well, I'm a Petey Peppa Papa person. You know, one of those the animal people. Peter Peppa, try and say it. I said, what do you want? She said, do you know how many animals had to be killed to put that on you, that coat on your back? I said, you know how many animals I had to be with to get this on my back?
Presenting the third runner-up is Dr. Clyda Hill Mahoney, and the winner is Nancy Soren Collier. Presenting the second runner-up, Paula Swarnay, and the winner is Carol Wall. Presenting the first runner-up, Dorcas Preston, and the winner is Shirley Pearson. Ladies and gentlemen, the woman who will represent California at the Miss Senior America pageant November 5th to the 10th at the Imperial Palace in Las Vegas, and bring back the national title to California. Yes. Presented by Queen Patricia Starr to Susan Cashman.
He stands before you with inner beauty, a picture of elegance true. You have the power to glorify your
As you can see, we have a lot of fun in our pageants. Now you may ask, what is a preliminary pageant? Well, because California is such a large state, we have several preliminary pageants, usually 5, 6, 7, all the way from San Diego up to Santa Clara. Now the top 3 women from each of those pageants go on to compete for Miss Senior California in September. The lady who becomes Miss Senior California 2009 will then go to represent California in the Miss Senior America pageant, all expenses paid, to Atlantic City. So come on, join us for a lot of fun. You'll meet a lot of wonderful women. And once again, the pageant Miss Senior Conejo Valley will be held at the Goebel Senior Center on Sunday, May 31st at 1:30 p.m.
This is going to be a very exciting event, and we hope to hear from a lot of you, and a special thank you also to Andrea Koval at the Goebel Senior Center, without whose help and support I could not do this. Looking forward to seeing you all in May.
Thank you so much, Susan. Looks like a real good time. Commissioner Norkin, would you introduce our next speaker, please?
Dr. Arnold Bresky is a medical doctor with over 30 years of experience as an obstetrician gynecologist. For the past 12 years, he has devoted time and attention to the other end of the spectrum of life, working with baby boomers and seniors. His presentation is called Tune Up Your Brain, Tune Up Your Life. Please welcome Dr. Arnold Bresky.
Thank you very much, City Council. One of the things in show business, you never follow kids or animals. To follow this kind of presentation, I feel I'm a little bit under the weather, but there's good news. In 1996, I appeared in the building next door here in the theater. It was Guys and Dolls, and I was one of the gamblers. So I'm like her in the show business. The other thing is about hospice. As you heard, that the first in-hospital hospice opened in 1974 in Connecticut. I want you to know, in 1976, the second in-hospital hospice opened in Canoga Park, California, and I'm the doctor who opened it. So I'm very involved with hospice. And my whole talk today will be about creativity and aging. And to see what's happening with the pageant, it just proves it to be true. We know that creativity goes up as we age. Isn't that interesting? And that goes down. But let me start at the beginning. As you heard in the introduction, I'm a memory doctor. So I want everyone at home who's watching this, and everyone in the audience here, get your pen and paper. Over the next hour or so, I'm going to teach you many facts about memory. Well, the first fact that I want you to remember is my name. So this is my breast. This is a key. My name is Dr. Bresky. I've just taught you the first thing about keeping your memory. Memory works through the 5 senses. And what I just did is show you my breast, and then I took out the key, and if you noticed, I shook the key to get you an auditory cue. So as we get older, all our senses diminish, as I'm sure you've noticed, so we have to work on our hearing and sight to keep our memory strong. Of the 5 senses, the one that is the most important for memory, you may not know that, is smell. And therefore I use aromatherapy in my work. We have evidence to show that it does help in increasing our sense of smell, which also diminishes as we age. So now that I've taught you my last name, Bresky, to teach you my first name, Arnold, I want to give you a picture. The picture is this. What am I? Arnold Palmer, or, since you are political, what's this? Who am I? Arnold Schwarzenegger. Well, that's literally how the brain works to remember names. I see patients all the time. If I ask them how your memory is compared to 5 years ago, they always tell me fine. But when I ask them, how are you with remembering names, they all are truthful and say poor. And so I will teach you how politicians do it. When they're shaking your hand and they want to ask you for $100 and they want to remember your name, they have a picture in their brain. So let me give you the first lesson about names is you put some kind of drawing in your mind so that you remember the person's name. Say you're going to a party tonight and you're meeting Anita Hall. Simple name, but the truth is you will forget it within 2 minutes, all right? I will teach you how to remember it. The first thing, when you meet Anita Hall, shake her hand and say, nice to meet you, Anita Hall. Then within a minute, I want you to repeat it again, use her name again, and then within 3 minutes, find someone else in the party to introduce Anita Hall. But the way you do it is a picture. You draw 2 lines and then some wiggly lines. Now, you're probably saying, Dr. Bresky, you've lost your mind. That cannot be Anita Hall. But if you look at it very carefully, the 2 lines is a hallway. What are walking in the hallway? Ants. So you remember Anita Hall. So I've just given you a very basic way to keep your memory. Ladies and gentlemen, I've been working on research on the memory for 12 years, and it's the same for everyone in this room, at home, anywhere in the United States. We have to keep certain things very important. Why? Because if we did a study right now in this room or in Thousand Oaks or in the world, the number one fear that people have as they get older is cancer. The number 2 fear is memory loss. Isn't that interesting? And so when I do these lectures all over and I'm on radio, television, people take notes because this is one of the most important values that they have as they get older. Because memory is life. If you have $1 million, which you probably don't have with the stock market the way it is, or you have many houses and everything else, if you cannot remember your grandchild's name, it is not worth it. So what I do is deal with that basic fear, and there's certain things that you must do to keep your memory fresh. And the word that I use to teach people is bravo. Let me write it down for you. B-R-A-V-O. That is called an acronym. It's actually a mnemonic. Mnemonics is the way our brain works. And I'm a student of Greek philosophy and mythology from 2,500 years ago. And would you believe the name of the Greek god of memory was called Mnemonis? That's how we get the word mnemonics. Bravo is the way our brain works. B sounds and looks like bright. When we are young, our brain is bright. As we get older, because of the aging process, it starts to dim. Everyone in this room knows that. And so what you want to do is keep your brain bright. The number one way of doing it is R, repetition. Repetition. The way the brain works is that neurons that fire together wire together. So every time you repeat a fact, a new layer of hormones and electrical current is put down, just like if you're painting a wall. And so what I teach my patients is repetition is the way to recapture your memory. Well, how do I do that? Well, the answer to that is there are 2 types of memory. Write it down. Short-term memory, which can last up to 2 hours. For most people, it's 2 seconds. And the second one is long-term memory, which could last a lifetime. And that's the last thing that we lose is long-term memory. The first thing we lose is what? Short-term memory. Short-term memory is when we have to remember a name, a phone number, a fact. How do we do that? Well, we know now. As we get older, our brain cannot filter out distractions. So if I came here right now and put on the radio and had something else going on in this room, those of you that are older than 50 will have a trouble filtering out this extra noise, and you will not pay attention correctly. So what I teach my patients to do is to pay attention with their eyes and ears for 9 seconds. Write that down, 9 seconds. We have done the studies, and the way to do that takes a long time because at age 30, we could think of 3 things at the same time. But after age 50, we cannot do that, and that's one of the reasons that senior citizens have car accidents. They are distracted by too many things. We now have a law about cell phones and everything else. Well, for senior citizens, it's a major problem, and I work with the DMV because seniors kill themselves at twice the rate they kill other people when they drive. In fact, in Florida, I wouldn't walk on the sidewalk. It's too dangerous, right? And so this is a very important thing. In fact, I've talked to DMV because I was involved with the George Weller case. This man had dementia. He should not have been driving. And so in certain counties in California today, we are not only testing people after 70 with a written test, but we also have a memory test. See, because if your memory is not good and your short-term memory is not good, you will have an accident. And the reason seniors die is the airbag comes out and the bones, you know, are already thinning from what disease? Osteoporosis. And now the ribs penetrate the lung and the heart, and the senior citizen dies. So this is why this is going to be a major problem for this country, and I'm in the forefront of that to keep people who are safe driving, but the people who are not safe, they cannot drive. There's no question about it. And we're going to have a major problem with this as the population ages. And so we need you first to have good short-term memory. How many seconds do you have to remember? Pay attention? 9 seconds, right. Now, once you have done that, now you have to put the information into long-term memory. The only way you could do that is by repeating the information out loud. Underline the word out loud 5 times a day for 5 days in a row. In show business, what do we call that? Rehearsal. All right, now how are you going to do that? Well, I teach my patients to take notes as when I'm talking, to go home, call up their daughter or call up somebody and read the notes, and the other person will go into coma, but that person will learn the material. But you have to repeat it 5 times a day for 5 days in a row. Once you do that, you will get material into long-term memory. In fact, what's happening right now, as you're listening to me, you are making a decision at this second whether you want to remember what I just said. Once you do that, the mechanism in your brain already starts working to shift it from the center of the brain to the front part of the brain where long-term memory is kept. Isn't that interesting how the brain works? But you have to make a decision that you want to learn what I'm talking about. And so, ladies and gentlemen, what I'm going to tell you today is all evidence-based about keeping your memory. Isn't that wonderful? How did I get to do this? Well, you heard a little bit about my history, so let me go way back, because everyone who comes to speak here has an agenda. I have an agenda. I want to stop the suffering in the world that is going to occur because of Alzheimer's disease. That's my goal, to be here today. I grew up in Brooklyn. Some of you can pick that up already. That's why I talk fast. I can give you a 2-hour talk in 10 minutes, but it'll be very hard. I grew up in a religious family, a Jewish family. I went to yeshiva to be a rabbi. And what I learned there is that I have to do 613 good deeds to get into heaven. I changed it to 614 unless God doesn't count right or doesn't count one as valid, all right? And so I am doing right now is a mitzvah. That's the Yiddish word for it, a mitzvah. And so I was studying to be a rabbi, but my aptitude was really in math and physics. So I wanted to be a nuclear physicist. My mother wasn't happy about that, but I wanted to be a nuclear physicist. And if you listen very carefully over the next hour, you're going to hear a nuclear physicist, mathematician, physicist talking, because I've discovered how the brain works. It works through numbers and patterns. That's how you're listening to me right now. The words are in the left side of your brain, and the patterns are in the right side. The numbers, the words in the left. You see how everything works in your brain. And so I decided that I will not be a rabbi, I'll be a nuclear physicist, but that didn't work because my mother couldn't say at Brighton Beach, save my son the nuclear physicist, so I had to become a doctor, right? But we didn't have much money, so the young fellas in Brooklyn, how we made money is in the summer. And what did we do? We went to the Catskill Mountains, to the Borscht Belt. 95% became waiters, and then there were 5% like me that said, no, that's not a way to go. So I became a comedian, a dancer, and a singer in the Borscht Belt. I worked with people like Jackie Mason. I used to sing with Steve Lawrence. But I had no talent, so I had to be a doctor. That's the way it was. But if you listen very carefully, you could see I'm speaking here without notes, and if I didn't have the television camera, I'd be around, you know. It's from my show business thing, and that's part of aging. When I'm trying to show you the modeling, that's very important. So I was going to medical school. I was very bright in math and physics, good grades, but in the 50s, you may not know this, there was a quota on Jewish boys to go to medical school. So I had the grades to go to Harvard, Columbia. They would interview me, but they wouldn't accept me. Fortunately, a school opened up as part of Yeshiva University, Albert Einstein College of Medicine in Bronx, New York, and I was one of the first students there. It was the luckiest break in my life because all the other medical schools in the world, the biggest department is medicine and surgery. In Albert Einstein College of Medicine, it's psychiatry. So I had 4 years of psychiatric training as a medical student. 50% of my class went on to be psychiatrists, and the rest of us became psychiatric whatever you do, like I am now a psychiatric geriatric specialist. So because of my math and physics, I read EKG so well, they put me down in the emergency room to admit all the heart attack patients. So I would get all of them. I would take them up, and in those days, to show you how medicine is an art, not a science, we thought the best thing to do for these patients is put them at bed rest for 6 weeks. Every one of my patients died from a pulmonary embolus from a clot from the vein. Oh, I said, I can't go into that field. This is crazy. Today, after you have open heart surgery, guess what? They get you moving immediately. It's because of my patients that die. That's the reason. So anyway, so I said, I'm a comedian. You could tell I'm a stand-up comic for the brain. I got to laugh. I cannot take care of people that are dying on me. So I went to the hospital one day with my eyes closed, and there was only one place where people were laughing. You know what it was? Obstetrics. So I decided that I would deliver babies. And because I'm a holistic wellness type of doctor, when I came out, I hated the fact that I was giving pain medicine to the mother, and then who do you think got all the medicine? The baby. So for 5 minutes in the delivery room, I'm punching the baby, and the baby's punching me back, and I'm trying to wake up the baby. That's no way to go, is it? So Dr. Bradley, an elderly doctor in Colorado, started the system of having husbands in the delivery room. So I called him up and said, I will do it for you, because he was getting older. And I said, I'm a tall, good-looking kid from Brooklyn. I can make it happen. He said, you sure? I said, yes, I could do it. Because it made no sense for me to have the husband in a room in the hospital smoking cigarettes, getting lung cancer, while I'm medicating the mother. I mean, it had made no sense. So I brought the husband in, and I became the husband coach, natural childbirth, the Bradley method. If you heard that, I was on TV all the time debating Lamaze doctors, but they had to change doctors every week. They couldn't keep up with me, right? So, but I became very busy. I delivered a lot of show business people because they love that kind of thing, natural, right? And so I delivered babies, and I taped deliveries. Now it's normal. I was the first doctor to do that. I was the first doctor to deliver natural twins. So I'm one of these people that love to walk on snow that has no footprints. That's what keeps me going. That's what gets my adrenaline going. And then when the hospitals became a little bit too technical, and I had delivered 9 babies in a single day, my friends, the doctors, who thought I was crazy, guess what? They all started copying me because I was making money, right? And so I opened up a birth center right in Woodland Hills, the first freestanding alternative birth center, nationally accredited. And what I did to make it really wonderful for the baby is I started them using music. I had them have tapes of music at home when they did the exercises, and then they played it in the birth center because the baby heard the music in utero. See, I knew that. And now the baby would be born to that same music, and then the mothers would tell me if the baby got a little cranky, guess what they would do? They'd put the same music on, and the baby would calm down. I'm telling you that because now, 30 years later, I'm doing the same thing for Alzheimer patients. You see how there's no difference in what I'm doing. It's just that I started in obstetrics doing it. And then I made enough money that a few of us bought a hospital, and I told you, Canoga Park, I had this open wing. What should I do? I said hospice. And I called London. That's where it started. I called London, I started it. But what I added to it was pet therapy. I had the people bring their animals. I had music therapy. I had weddings there. I even had a fountain. And because you get negative ions, which, you know what it does? It forms endorphins in your brain. That's why you feel better when there's a storm and lightning or at the beach. It's the negative ions. I am doing that again with Alzheimer patients. Do you see how it's all related? And so from then, a few of us got together who were into holistic medicine and into preventive medicine, and in 1978, we all met in La Crosse, Wisconsin. And guess what we started? The wellness movement. Have you heard of that? I'm the guy who started that, one of those people. And in 1982, I ran Wellness Week for Governor Brown. I went in front of the LA County Medicine, because I was on radio and TV all the time, telling people not to smoke, to exercise, to eat well, to take care of the environment. Now remember, this is 1982. I went in front of the LA County Medical Site. All I wanted was their endorsement. Guess what they did? They voted me down. Right? What are you talking about? You know, this is ridiculous. Later, they published an article saying I was right. 1982. And so what am I involved now in? Brain health and brain wellness. Do you see how the circle is perfect for what I've been doing? The problem is obstetrics is a very hard field. You may not know it. I started out at 6'3". I didn't sleep very much. Why don't you sleep very much? Babies start and stop at 3 in the morning. That's it. So I was up in the hospital all the time. But there was 1 month I never slept. You know what month that was? September. Everyone celebrates New Year's Eve the same way. The babies are lined up in the hallway. I never got out of the hospital. And so September was a lost month for me. Okay. So then after all these thousands of babies, I'm getting a little older, and I'm saying, wow, What should I do? Well, if I helped my babies, right, I delivered all these 10,000 babies or so, they are going to live to 90 to 100. Remember what I just said. And in Chinese philosophy, if you take care of a person, you are morally obligated to be involved with their life. So now I helped all these wonderful babies into the world. They're going to live to 90 to 100. But write this down. It's not how long you live, it's how well you live. It's not the number of years in your life, it's the amount of life in your years. So it was my moral obligation as a doctor, a healer, to do something for these people, right? All these people I delivered. I never took a course in geriatrics. At Albert Einstein College of Medicine, there was nobody who lived more than 62. My father died at 62. We thought he was Methuselah, right? Well, guess what, ladies and gentlemen? Because, you know, the number one reason we're living longer, you may not realize it, the sanitation workers. We should give them a hand because we died of infectious diseases. And so now we have overcome those infectious diseases. We have heart transplants. We have all these wonderful antibiotics. And so now we have to deal with geriatrics. In fact, UCLA only opened its field, its Department of Geriatrics, you know when? About 10 years ago. 10 years ago. But now there's tremendous research in geriatrics. You know why? Doctors are getting older, right? So they want to know what's happening here, right? So geriatrics, I had to do something, and I had to learn about geriatrics. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank God for the internet, because I still be reading things, right? But because of the internet, and I was able to put together how and what aging is about. Isn't that interesting? Because now we understand about the human being and the aging process. Let me tell you what the aging process is. It's the failure of the body to repair itself every day. Did you hear what I just said? The skin that you see in my hand right now, 8 years ago was completely different skin. My GI tract is completely different. We change. So what happens, I told you the number. When is the age that it all starts falling apart? 50. 50. After that age, our body is not repairing itself the way it should. And that's what the aging process is about. And so once I knew that, I said, well, what can I do to help these people? And I said, well, first of all, I have to know, is this a problem, right? You know, I don't want to waste my time, right? Well, I look it up. Ladies and gentlemen, 1 out of 4 American families are presently affected by dementia. People in this room. 1 out of 4. Ladies and gentlemen, every 6 to 7 seconds, I make a diagnosis of dementia, or somebody like me. Every 71 seconds, we make a diagnosis of Alzheimer's disease. Every 6 minutes or so, someone dies from Alzheimer's disease in America. Alzheimer's disease is now overtaken. Diabetes is now the 6th biggest killer in America. Years ago, doctors didn't even write Alzheimer's down on the death certificate. There was so much shame. But now we are forcing doctors to write the right thing so we could have the statistics. See, the statistics were wrong years ago. So now I've told you what the problem is. Right now in America, 5.2 million people have Alzheimer's disease. It doubles every 5 years. Wow. Did you hear what I just said? And it's not just America. See, you could look at the literature in China, Russia, Poland, England. Guess what? The literature's the same because people are living longer. That's the key. Dr. Peter Whitehouse, who's the biggest researcher in Alzheimer's in the world from Case University, wrote a book in July of last year, and he and I agree, because I was saying it before I read the book. Alzheimer's is just a form of severe brain aging. It is not caused by a bacteria. It is not caused by a virus. It's not caused by a fungus. So if we find a cure for it, which I'm not sure we will, right now there is no cure for it. All we could do is slow the symptoms down, right? All the pills and everything else. So what we must do as a nation, because this is the #1 public health issue for this nation financially. You don't hear about Obama and everyone else talking about it. The Thousand Oaks Council on Aging doesn't talk about it. But this will bankrupt Medicare, I guarantee it. And in fact, talking about President Obama, he had a panel put together recently because they're going to change the health care system. And built into it will be accountability, preventive medicine, the things that I'm going to be talking to you about today is going to be in the new healthcare system, thank God. But we have to change the thinking of people. What do you mean, Dr. Bresky? Well, ladies and gentlemen, I hate to tell you this, but when I delivered you, your brain was hardwired for 3 things, and it still is. The #1 thing your brain is hardwired for is survival. Everyone understand that, right? The next thing it's hardwired for is happiness. Happiness. And the third thing is pleasure. Pleasure. Wait, are you saying, Dr. Bresky, that there are mechanisms in the brain when you delivered me for those 3 things? The answer is yes. Survival. This is giving us major problems as we get older. You call it stress, right? Stress is any demand or perceived threat to your survival. So we have a basic mechanism built into our brain and our adrenal glands that if a man immediately walked through this place with a gun, we would release that second from our adrenal gland adrenaline, norepinephrine, and cortisol, the stress hormone. It is built into us so that we could survive through what? Fighting or running away. That's how we deal. So if he comes in with a gun, I don't even see another exit here. I think I'm in, oh, there it is. All right. I'm going out the exit, right? Some of you may want to fight with him. See, why is this a problem for the brain? Well, ladies and gentlemen, the brain works on 2 things. Please write this down. Oxygen and glucose. Glucose is a fancy word for sugar. It means it's the fuel of the brain. If your brain is not getting oxygen for 6 minutes, guess what I will do? I will pronounce you dead. If your brain is not getting glucose, the cells in your brain, the first thing you're going to notice is your short-term memory is gone. So if I asked you to come up, like what I'm doing right now, for an hour or so talking without notes, you'd come up here and say, my name is, and you'll forget your name. Because the sugar is not getting in your brain cell. Cortisol, the stress hormone, is stopping sugar from getting into your brain. You see how it works? So when you're on chronic stress, what the body is doing is taking all the blood supply, the sugar, and putting it where? Into your muscles. so that you could fight or flight. So there's what organ systems fail? The brain, the digestive system, right? When you're nervous, you ever notice you get butterflies? And the other, unfortunately, is your sex organs. God said, nah, I'm not going to have sex when that guy's coming in with a gun, right? So that's the problem, right? See, I've just solved your problem. So listen to the rest of the lecture, because I'll tell you how to get it back again, right? No. The problem is if you listen very carefully to my words, I said perceived threat, didn't I? Suppose I think there's a man coming in with a gun to harm me. The mechanism is the same. And so as we age, do you see that we perceived more threats to our survival? And it's real. I don't even open up my stock, things anymore. It's just going to cause my cortisol to go crazy, right? Right? It's a real thing. There are perceived and real threats out there as we age. But the problem is we die from chronic diseases. No longer are we dying from acute diseases. Remember malaria, pneumonia, polio, right? We're dying from heart disease, stroke, Alzheimer's disease. All of these are chronic diseases, and the one thing they all have in common is a chronic inflammation of the inside of blood vessels. So we're dying of chronic inflammatory diseases. What causes all this inflammation of my blood vessels, Dr. Bresky? Didn't you remember when I said cortisol? When cortisol gets involved with the blood vessel, it damages the inside of the blood vessel. When you have too much sugar anywhere in your brain, you know what it damages? Blood vessels. So when you have diabetes, what happens to your blood vessel and problems in your eye, in your kidney? Do I have to go through it all? It's all about blood vessels. So we have to keep our blood sugar down, but if we're under chronic stress, what's happening with our blood sugar? It's going up. When we're smoking, what does the nicotine damage? The inside of our blood vessels. See? When we're not eating proper food, it damages the inside of our blood vessels. Because, what we eat is what we are. Isn't that true? I didn't say that. They said that 2,500 years ago in Greece, right? I'm only copying the Greek philosophers. So what we need to do is first understand the mechanism of Alzheimer's disease, and then we could form a solution, can we? But, ladies and gentlemen, if we don't do it, just like Dr. Jonathan Fielding, the head of public health in LA County said in October, we are going to be diluted, and I'm sure it's Thousand Oaks is the same thing, with Alzheimer patients and with lack of caregivers. Whoa, caregivers? I never even thought about that, Dr. Bresky. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to start thinking about caregivers. Because if I'm making a diagnosis today, when I go to my office, of someone with dementia, immediately someone becomes a caregiver, don't they? Could be the husband and wife, son or daughter. Usually the daughter. Thank God I have a son and daughter, so my daughter will take care of me, right? Not my son. That's the way it is. All right. So caregivers is a major problem for this country, or actually for the whole world. Well, what do you mean? Why is this a problem? Well, years ago, we had a village. Even though you call it Westlake Village, we no longer have a village, right? Or everyone who used to be around to help out, they're spread out. Even in China is having a problem. The lady who used to take care of everyone is now working in China, right? So we are going to need, you could write this down, 200,000 new professional caregivers in America starting today. Isn't that scary? You know why that's scary, ladies and gentlemen? Because no one has ever looked at caregiving as a profession. Did you hear what I just said? And we need to start thinking about that, because we now have 44 million caregivers in America right now. 80% are family caregivers. Usually the wife, the husband, the daughter, taking care of their family member. 20% are professional caregivers, people that you hire to take care of you. Well, there's a problem. We are not training either group. I will do that in the future. I'm going to open schools to train these people. Why do you need to train these people? Well, let's talk about the family caregiver for a second. They have no role models. Remember, this is new. The sandwich generation is brand new. We never had people that had elderly parents alive and children alive. This is brand new in the history of mankind. And so they have no role models, no roadmap on what to do for caregiving. So how do they do it? Trial and error. Is this bad, Dr. Bresky? Yes, it is. Because if you do it that way, you will suffer from caregiver burnout. Have you ever heard of the thing? As a psychiatrist, I know about that, right? Depression and chronic stress will cause these people to lose 4 to 8 years of their lifespan. 4 to 8 years. 40% will die before the loved one. Aren't these incredible statistics? So we will have to teach people how to be a caregiver, and I will do that. I've written a book about it, and the essence of my book is that we are all caregivers, aren't we? We have to take care of ourselves. So the number one commandment of caregivers is take the oxygen first. Take care of yourself first so that you could help the other person, because the other person is in a state of victimhood and you don't want to become a victim. Now I have to take care of 2 people. Everyone understand that? And so I teach the caregivers how to call for help. Usually when a caregiver calls for help, it's already very late. There are places and people that could help you, geriatric care managers, elder care locator. We have many, many people that will help you, but you have to not be macho and say, I can do it. But most importantly, they have a shame and guilt that they're asking other people for help when they ought to be able to do it. And then we have a problem is that families are spread out. So if there are 3 siblings, right, 2 sons and a daughter, all spread out over the United States, I get involved in that because there's always a primary caregiver and then secondary caregivers, and they start fighting among themselves. And what is the number one thing they fight about? I hate to tell you this. It's money. That's it. I'm involved in money problems with the courts. Here, this woman raised 10 children, and the 10 children can't take care of the mother. Think about what I just said. You know it's true, isn't it? Right? And I get involved in that, and so we have to work out a system where this communication between the family members and the person. See, the person has to be involved in the decision making. I decide what their capacity is. The court will decide about their competence. That's another lecture. I don't want to go through all that, but there's a difference. And so I'm involved in all that. But if you're not a good caregiver and don't know how to do it and what not to do, see, because if you're not communicating well with the person with dementia, they become what? Angry. And when they become angry and they become agitated, they start what? Kicking, spitting, cursing, wandering. And what do we do? As a doctor, what was I trained to do? Pills and surgery. That's all you learn in medical school. And so what do? You over-medicate the seniors, and they die at twice the rate they should. Isn't that immoral? Right? And I go around and I give lectures like at Lisa Gibbons' place, the non-pharmacological approach to agitated behavior. Can you imagine? We can use music. We could use pet therapy. We could use white light. There are many things that we could use rather than antipsychotics and antidepressants. I am an integrated doctor, which means I believe pills are necessary but not sufficient. Most doctors are not integrateds, right? So I will use lavender to calm people down, and it works. It's true, of course it's true. But the person has to be open to that kind of thinking. So caregiving is a major concern, should be a major concern for the Council of Aging. And if you think about it, maybe you could have a subcommittee about that, because it won't take long to find out that 1 out of 4 families in the city of Thousand Oaks are involved with caregiving issues, and they don't know what to do. All right, so now I've given you the problem. But is it growing, Dr. Bresky, that we know the numbers? Yes, we know the numbers. Before age 65, the incidence of Alzheimer's is 1 in 1,000. Not too bad. Before 65, write it down. As soon as you hit your 65th birthday, it's now 1 in 20. Now we're getting serious. If you make it to 80, it's 1 in 5. Uh-oh. If you make it to 85, it's 1 in 2. Did I get your attention? But the main thrust of what I'm doing from a public health point of view is to baby boomers. You've heard of them? In America, we have 78 million baby boomers. In fact, in 2 years, every day, 10,000 people will turn 65 for 20 years. Think about what I just said. By the year 2020 in Thousand Oaks, which is not that far away, 1 in 6 people will be 65 or older. Have I got your attention? Ladies and gentlemen, 1 million baby boomers will live to age 100. That means more will live to 95. More will live to 90. 14 million baby boomers will get Alzheimer's disease. Wow. Let's do something, right? Isn't that what you're saying? Please help me out. You're a genius in math and physics. Can you figure this out? Well, I think I have. 12 years ago, after delivering all these babies, I sat down and thought about aging. And I gave myself a new name. So no more OBGYN. I'm a preventive gerontologist. In the field of behavioral neurology, I teach people how to age gracefully and successfully. I formed that field 12 years ago. I will be teaching in a medical school probably in 5 years this subject. Think about what I just said. From nothing, all of a sudden, there's a new field of medicine. 12 years ago, I came up with a 9-point program, evidence-based. Remember, write that word down, evidence-based. Everything I'm going to tell you from now on is based on my research and other people's research. Nothing is magic. I know you want magic, right? I know that. But there's no magic. And the answer is, if we cannot cure the problem, what do we have to do? You know the answer. Risk management and risk aversion. Isn't that what you do in your business? Risk management and risk aversion. We've been doing that for years for the heart. Now we have to do it for the brain. Isn't that interesting? And the answer is whole person centered care. Let me write it down for you. Whole person centered care. That, I believe, is the answer to this problem of Alzheimer's disease. If we can form some kind of medical system that brings this into the regular health care, since Alzheimer's doubles every 5 years, my system delays the symptoms by 5 years. Isn't that interesting? I could slow the progression of cognitive decline by 5 years. Those of you who are mathematically inclined say, whoa, Dr. Bresky, if you can get to people 50 years of age and change their lifestyle, and what I call it is therapeutic lifestyle changes, if you can get them to change their lifestyle at 50, then we can delay the symptoms of cognitive decline by 10 years. Therefore, mathematically speaking, I can almost eradicate Alzheimer's disease. Isn't that interesting? Mathematically, it would work. But what do we have to do? We have to get to people 50 years of age. But we have to tell them the risks. What are the risks for Alzheimer's? The number one risk is age. I told you, right? As you get older, your risk goes up because Alzheimer's is severe brain aging. But the number two risk we know is obesity. Obesity. Is obesity going up or down in our society? So, we're going to have more cases of Alzheimer's. We know it. The number three risk factor is high blood pressure. 30% of people walking in the United States have high blood pressure, and it's going up. Every time we open a McDonald's, some young person is getting high blood pressure. Isn't this interesting? In fact, we see a higher incidence of Alzheimer's in the African American and Latino community because of their diet. We see it. We know the numbers. So we have to come up with some kind of system that changes a person's lifestyle, but is durable. Did you hear the word? Durable. See, I could change your lifestyle for 2 weeks, and then you will revert back. I have done you no good. I've done society no good. I want to change your lifestyle for the rest of your life. To do that, I have to build in, and this is where the national health will be a hope. If they ask me, I'll tell them. There has to be accountability, self-responsibility, structure. Without that, you will not change your lifestyle. You will go for the third high. The brain is wired for pleasure, isn't it? So people will go for what? Fast, easy, fun. Hope that somebody will rescue them. And my whole program works on a 4-letter word. W-O-R-K. This is why this is a very hard program to sell, because people don't want to do the work. They want me to do the work and give them the pill and surgery, right? You know it's true. And so I'm going to tell you in the next few minutes how you could preserve your brain rather than having someone repair it later on. Which is better? Right? Which is better? So, ladies and gentlemen, what we are going to do in the next few minutes is build you a colored rainbow and your pot of gold will be your future brain health. Brain health motivates people. Looking good, looking sexy, looking this doesn't work. In fact, I tell people if you want to fight aging with Botox, go ahead, but we are now finding Botox in the brain. Wow. So I tell them, go get your Botox and then come and see me afterwards. It's okay. Well, what is the program based on? I told you, whole person. Whole person is body, mind, and soul. It's based on holistic medicine 2,500 years ago. That's the key to it. But everything that we're talking about is for what? For memory. So we talked about repetition. The A, when we talk about everything, is association. If you want to have a good memory, you must link new material to old material. That's the key to a good memory. V stands for visualization. Do you notice how many times I've done a picture for you? Because the brain works through pictures. O stands for organization. If you do not organize your brain, it will be in a state of chaos. Chaos. In Greek mythology, the first god was chaos. And we thought the god was angry that caused disease, so we would sacrifice people and things to chaos. Okay? But ladies and gentlemen, as we get older, does our life have more or less chaos? More. You see? So for memory, you're going to remember Bravo, but for behavior that's durable, you're going to be involved with holistic medicine, and you're going to add to that preventive medicine. 1,000 years ago, Maimonides said the best medicine is preventive medicine. A stitch in time saves 9. What you do or do not do today will influence your life 5 years from now, and yet 95% of people who live in Thousand Oaks don't believe that. Right? They don't believe that. They think they'll be rescued, something's going to happen, and, you know, I hate to tell you this, I talk to Medicare all the time. My program is so evidence-based, it is covered by Medicare. Can you believe that? I convinced them. You know how I convinced them? Because they're not that dumb. They're dumb, but not that dumb. The biggest expense that Medicare has, you may not know it, is hip surgery. Kills them. They do hip surgery and put them in a nursing home. The number one cause of falls is dementia. You didn't know that. See, because if there were wires right here, electrical wires, a demented person, because their judgment is poor, will walk through the wires, fall, and break their hip. Or if there was water here, they would walk through the water and fall and break their hip. So I convinced Medicare that let me build the new brain cells. Says, you have evidence of that? And I show them the evidence. Ladies and gentlemen, the brain forms new brain cells. Isn't that wonderful? Every day until age 120. After that, you're on your own. The brain also can compensate for losses. What do you mean? Well, the brain is plastic, neuroplasticity. You may see it on KCET or something. The brain can take cells from another part of the brain and take over the work. So this is your brain. By the way, this is your most important organ. I think you think it's another one, but this is it, right here. Controls everything, even those organs. It's only 3 pounds. It feels like Jell-O, but it's you. This is you. And so if you have epilepsy, which some children have, temporal lobe epilepsy, what we're doing now is removing that side of the brain that has the epileptic problem, throwing it away, and 1 year later, the other half of the brain takes over all the work of the other thing. Isn't that amazing? I use it in my work with stroke patients. What do you mean? Well, if a person comes in and has a stroke on the right side of the brain, which side is paralyzed? The left side. So they come in with their left side all right, and what I do is I tie up the right arm. Dr. Bresky, are you psychotic? That's their good arm. And then every day I give them a pencil. Every day. And within 3-4 months, they get the pencil and they could write their name. The brain regenerates, forms new connections. The perfect example for that is Christopher Reeves. You remember him? Superman. A few years ago, he was horseback riding, broke his neck. If I were there, I would have pronounced him dead. But he has $9 million, so you don't pronounce him dead. So you take him to the hospital, and he gets physical therapy, and he gets cognitive therapy, what I do. And little by little, guess what? He's starting to move his hands and feet. He's starting to have feeling. The nervous system is coming back. But he had a lousy caregiver. Remember I told you how important caregivers are? She forgot or didn't turn him enough, so he got decubitus ulcers and died from the decubitus ulcers. Isn't that amazing? Superman died from an infection, but his nervous system was coming back. That's why caregivers are so important. I'm going to do something about it because I want someone to take care of me. The Japanese have figured it out. You know what they've done? They've invented robots. The problem is you got to speak Japanese. You know, so I said, this is not going to work for me, right? So the brain can regenerate. Isn't that wonderful? Because when I delivered you, you had 10 billion brain cells, more than 100 billion. You lose 50,000 every day. So the day I die, there will be enough brain cells more than the stars in the sky. And so we need to use the brain to grow new brain cells. Well, you cannot do it except if you have a certain type of lifestyle, right? Lifestyle. So let me describe it to you. The 3 things that cause memory disorders, write this down. Number 1 is oxidative stress. Oxidative stress. When oxygen loses an electron in the energy, it damages other cells, such as blood vessels and DNA in cells. That's the cause of aging. Did you hear what I just said? Too many free radicals. That's what we call them. Guess which age free radicals shoot up? 50, right? So how do we get these free radicals to get their electron back? We eat antioxidants. That's why the OX is in that. And so my diet is all based on antioxidants, to get antioxidants. The next thing that causes memory disorders is lifestyle choices. And I talked to you already about that. And the third thing is disuse. Are you saying, Dr. Bresky, what I learned in biology in Brooklyn, that if you don't use it, you lose it, is true? Guess what? It's true. And as we get older, we retire, which is the worst thing people can do, because they lose their engagement with life, and they stop using their brain, they stop doing numbers and patterns. Right? So if people stay as a musician, stay as an accountant, they have a lower risk of Alzheimer's. Isn't that interesting? We have all the data. All right, so let me tell you the 4 pillars. I can't believe time is going so fast. 4 pillars of brain health. Physical activity, mental activity, social activity, and good cardiovascular health. What word did I repeat over and over? Right, so when I go to nursing homes or assisted living facilities, I always meet what? The activity director, but I change their name to what? Passivity director. Right? Because you have to be active And what you want to do is grow new dendrites. The brain talks to itself and wires itself through dendrites. Ladies and gentlemen, you cannot buy dendrites at Ralph's. And Gelson's doesn't sell them. So how do I form new dendrites, Dr. Bresky? Write this down. You want to do new, exciting, challenging, intellectual work every day. As we get older, we don't want to do new, we want to do old. What's comfortable, right? So what I do is if people have always played an instrument, I get them to write poetry. Whatever it is, I get them to do another activity so they could grow dendrites. And that's what I do in my program. All right, so what are we going to do? For the body, the most important thing is walking. When we walk 30 minutes a day, it stimulates a hormone in the brain that tells your stem cells to grow. Isn't that wonderful? Seniors don't walk. In fact, if they've fallen, they won't walk because of what? Fear of falling again. So built into my system is a fall prevention balance training program because I must get them walking. I must. Next is strength training. Then there's flexibility and stretching. All of these must be done every day if we're going to age gracefully and successfully. I do not accept excuses. That's why I'm such a bad doctor. I say, you will do it. And if they say, if I'm in a big audience and they say, I can't walk, my doctor won't let me. I've done this talk thousands of times. I say, go to your doctor, have him write me a note that you cannot walk. Guess how many notes I've gotten? Right? None, right? Next, mental, the mind. Here's where my psychiatry background comes in. Depression kills brain cells. Can you remember that? Do we get more depressed or less depressed as we get older? Depression is caused by a four-letter word. Write it down. LOSS. That's why I don't look at the stock market anymore. It will depress me. But as we get older, we lose our husband, our wife, the children move away, we lose our home, we lose our health, we lose all these things. I get depressed every morning when I take a shave. I look in the mirror and I say, where's that tall, good-looking, handsome guy with black hair? He got no hair, right? I'm depressed. But the two things that I work on in my practice with my patients, there's the loss of curiosity. See, we must maintain our curiosity to learn new material. And the last one I use with a loss that I work with is dreams. Dreams. Older people who lose their dreams become depressed, and guess what they die of? Loneliness and boredom. I never write that on a death certificate, but that's what they've died of. So I have to stimulate the dreams again and the curiosity, and I do it. You can tell my personality. They do it. We get them going. Next is chronic stress. I work on that all the time because these people are under tremendous chronic stress. One of the major problems is anger. So when they cannot get to a goal, they become frustrated. Once they stay frustrated, it turns into what? Resentment. Once they are resentful of whoever, whatever, they become angry. Then they have two choices: to act out on the anger, kick me, yell at me, curse me, spit, wander, or they could swallow the anger, and guess what it turns into? Depression. You see why depression is a major problem in my work. And the last one is your soul. Your soul has to be healthy if you're going to have a good memory. What is in your soul? Your meaning and purpose in life. Remember I told you my history, the meaning in my life is to do 613 good deeds. 614 because we got to count an extra one just in case, right? Good memory, good, all right. Meaning and purpose in life. So as we get older, do we have more meaning and purpose or less meaning and purpose? Less. So when I came up with this program 12 years ago, and I called it Dr. Bresky's Brain Tune-Up, I had to test it out. I know nobody would listen to me because I was a baby doctor. So I had to go to where there were Alzheimer patients who would die within a month. Severe Alzheimer patients, stage 2 and 3 and higher. There was and is a place, it's in El Molino in Pasadena. I called them up and I said, I want to do this study, and I used the magic word. You know what the magic word was? Free. They said, come on down, come on down. I came there were 100 people, 99 women, 1 man, I don't know how he got in there, and they're all sitting in a state like this, a coma state, watching I Love Lucy. That's it. That's all they did all day. I could go like this and they wouldn't, right? They were dying cell by cell. They were losing their soul. It had no meaning and purpose. What is the word in the English language for someone who only has a body and a mind and no soul? It starts with a Z. Zombie. I was looking at zombies, right? And so I decided I would institute my 9-point program. But they didn't even want to talk to me. Why? They had been abandoned by the world. They had lost their trust in human beings. Here, I would be another person to abandon them. It took me 1 month to build up their trust again, because I knew that they want to know that I cared about them before they would care about what I knew. Do you see the different thinking of an alternative integrated doctor? In 1 month, it worked. How did I know? The women started wearing makeup. They wanted to kiss me, right? Sex drive never dies. It never dies. And I asked them, please, for me, instead of watching television, how many women here know how to knit? They all remembered how to knit. The motor skills stay. I brought in knitting needles and wool. And every day, for me, they would knit blankets. Every day they did it. And when the blankets got up to the ceiling, I would call the city of Pasadena Fire Department paramedics. They would come and pick up the blankets and give it to the homeless people that night on the street. Guess what happened to my patients? The muscles around the lips that hadn't moved for 30 years, what were they able to do? Smile. Their memories got better. They stopped acting out and wandering. They ate better. You see what happened? I gave them meaning and purpose in life. And I'm doing it again now. When I go to facilities, I'm going to get people to do blankets for me. And the Rotary Club is going to deliver it to El Salvador because they're short of blankets in their hospitals. Isn't that something wonderful? Do you see how if you give people meaning and purpose in life, it works? So I promise you I'd be finished by 2:30 here. Let me finish up with the 9-point program. No, just write it down, because you want to know the 9-point program. The first one is fun and laughter. Fun and laughter. You could tell that I'm about that, right? So let me give you your joke for the day. There's more money being spent on breast implants and Viagra today than on Alzheimer's research. This means by 2040, there should be a large elderly population with perky boobs and huge erections and absolutely no recollection of what to do with them. Unfortunately, it's true. Number 2. Relaxation, meditation, and prayer. The best evidence is for prayer. I pray every morning and night. I say, thank you, God, for being in my heart. Don't pray to win the lottery. Pray for integrity, humility, and compassion. It will improve your brain and your immune system. Remember I told you those are the 2 things, your brain and your immune system. Number 3, music therapy. It is 5,000 years old. Last week at Pierce College, for the first time, I gave a course, and it was called How to Use Music to Heal Yourself. We know the music selections that you could use for every disease and you should start today doing it. You have to do it. Music therapy works, but to organize your brain, I want you to listen to Mozart Piano Concerto number 21. Mozart Piano Concerto number 21. It's $8. If you can't afford it, go on my website, mybraintuneup.com. It's the music in the background. You could listen to it all day, and it's free. All right? No excuse. Mozart, Piano Concerto number 21. 21, when you were young and beautiful. 21. Number 4 is sleep. The brain heals itself, and memories form between 11 p.m. and 7 a.m. Seniors are not sleeping properly. That's why their memory is no good. Number 5 is physical exercise. If I had one prescription to write everyone in this room, if you want to age gracefully and successfully, it would be physical exercise. And watching people jump up and down on television is not your exercise. Number 6 is eat the brain tune-up way, the Mediterranean diet. If you follow that diet, you lower your risk of Alzheimer's by 40%. So I've partnered with the Thousand Oaks Whole Foods right here on Moore Park, and you will be able to get the diet and how to do it and what to do, and it's the best thing you could do for your brain. Number 7, the brain is 75% water. If you don't take care of your brain, you think you're going to get a brain transplant, right? I've called Medicare. They said, we got one for you. This is what they're going to give me for you. That's your brain right there. So hydrate your brain. That means drink 6-8 ounces of water every day. Drink it mostly in the morning so you're not up all night urinating. Put a little lemon juice in it if you hate it. But do not rely on your neck, because there's a mechanism in your neck that tells you when you're thirsty. Guess what age it fails? 50. Right. Brain exercises. For those people who are referred to me by neurologists, I'm the end of the line. You can imagine, right? And so I use methods to grow new brain cells and rewire the brain using the fact that myelin, which is the insulation around the brain that forms in the music and art right here while you're in the uterus, and it's the last cells to die. So the day I die, the last cells of my brain to die will be music and art. And so what I do is I grow brain cells using music and art and everything else. So here's what the brain looks like when they first come to me, severe patients. See how few brain cells and brain connections? After 4 months, look what the brain looks like. Which one do you want to be? Right? Is there any question, right? But it takes what? Work. You cannot buy this. And I teach art because the brain uses numbers and patterns. I was a student of Michelangelo 500 years ago. I just looked good for that for 500 years. He taught in a grid system using a ruler and using numbers and patterns. Look what Alzheimer patients are able to draw who have never drawn before. Isn't that incredible? This exhibit has already been shown up in Burbank. It's called Hope, Esperanza, and Mitzvah. And in the month of May, it will be shown at LA City Hall. Isn't that amazing? Maybe we'll show it here. Wouldn't the City Hall should have it, here? So using drawing is a very important thing. Now, does this program really work in real life? Well, 2 years ago, I got a call from the Jewish Home for the Aging of Reseda. They heard about me, and they said, we want you to do your program, teach our students your program. And they used the magic word. You know what the magic word was? They're going to know. Money. Money. There was a grant. They were going to pay me to do this. So guess what I said? All right, no problem. But one problem. What is the problem? The average age of your student is 90 to 96. Most people would have walked out of the room because there's never been a study on memory improvement in 90 to 96. But because I'm from Brooklyn, guess what I said? All right. But I had them give me a month to teach the staff. Did you hear what I just said? If I don't teach the staff and get them on board, the program will not work. See, I'm not into process. I'm into what? Quality product. See the difference? I want it to work. And then I said I want to have the same person do the memory test before and after, and I don't want to do it because I cheat, which I would, right? And they said, fine, I'll take away from your money. I said, I don't care. And so for 6 months, I taught this 9-point program to 90 to 96-year-old people. I opened a humor room, a Mozart room. I brought in weights. I did the whole thing. And then after 6 months, they tested the people. Ready for this? 30% improved their memory tests. A 94-year-old man went up 2 points. A 95-year-old lady went up 1 point. Unheard of in history, because you go down 1 point every 6 months at age 90. And here these people went up. But for me, the best test was quality of life. 50% said their quality of life improved. Isn't that amazing? They're still doing the program. I have a copy of it here. All right, here's a copy of the Jewish Home for the Aging right now, and in there is a picture of me doing the program. They're still using the program there. But the most important thing is that when I left after the 6 months, at the Jewish Home they have little gardens. You know, people donate a lot of money and you get a garden and a plaque. My students donated a garden in my name. Isn't that? Show you what a wonderful program it is. So ladies and gentlemen, after hydration and brain exercises, number 9 is the one that makes me really different. Every day you must do an act of kindness. We must do it. And our act of kindness is when you do something for another human being and don't accept and expect anything back in return. That's why I do these talks, sometimes every day, sometimes twice a day, to Rotaries, to Kiwanis, to churches, to synagogues, whoever will listen to me, and I never charge. Because if I could change the life of one person listening to me, that was my act of kindness. You see how important it is for me. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you took notes and you can't remember anything, right? The good news, it's all in a book, right? The Secret for Caregiver Success. The workbook contains the games I've invented to stimulate new brain growth. And for music, I produced this music CD to validate depression, for attention, for calming. Isn't it better to use music than to use medication? And this program, I guarantee you, will be a normal thing. I will be the keynote speaker April 4th at CSUN, and they're having a big convention. It's called Careers in Aging. Careers in Aging. And it's for gerontology students. CSUN have one of the few programs for gerontologists in the United States. And I will be teaching them what I'm doing, and the course is called Creativity in Aging. Creativity in Aging. And that's what this is all about, to get people to be creative again and to be live again. I hope you remember my name. Put your hand over your heart. Bresky. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
That was fantastic. Thank you, Doctor. While he's still here, does anybody have any questions for the doctor? Mel.
Have you discussed this with NIMH at all?
I've sent them emails. The problem is I'm not in the system, right? I'm not a professor at a big medical school or something like that, but I would love to, because I work with people. I don't work with rats. I don't work with fruit flies. I actually see patients, and that's what makes me a little bit different. I even have a letter here from a lady who I helped when she was taking a driver's test, because she had to take it. She not only got 100, but now she wants to open a school to teach people how to take the driving test and what to do. 83-year-old lady. Isn't that amazing? Yes.
Where are your books available and how much is your book?
Well, the books are here. The book is $20. So it's the best because ignorance is too expensive. Isn't that true?
What's that?
For $20, if you can get your life on the pathway for brain health, it's going to cost more for your Aricept. Do I have to go on all those medications? So you need the book because you need structure. That's the key. People cannot do it on their own. Any other questions?
Are your books also available at bookstores or?
No, it's too early in the game. It's available on the internet, www.mybraintuneup.com, and you can get it there. I think it makes a great gift for your son or daughter, because my third book is called Brain Tune-Up for Boomers. Right? They will love that book. I can guarantee you that. Yes, sir.
There is something in the book for caregivers.
Yes, there's something for caregivers, right.
Thank you.
Caregivers, there has to be an elevation of it as a profession. See, they have to get paid more, but they have to deliver quality of care. So I will teach them quality, but we are going to have to pay them more. I think it's a fair thing. Yes.
Yes, Dr. Bresky, you mentioned memory tests for a driver's license.
Yes.
Is there some particular qualification that triggers that requirement?
No, it's now being done as a pilot. Not here, it's being, I think, in Northern California.
Okay, thank you.
Because people over 70, if we could pick up people that have some memory problems that we can correct, that's fine. But if it's a major problem, we'd rather them not be on the roads. Yeah.
What was the date pinned down in April when you're doing this at CSUN, Doctor?
Yes, April 4th.
It was the 4th. And is that just a single day?
Yes, it's going to be a whole day, I guess, for careers in gerontology.
And how do we find out about that?
I think you have to call CSUN.
Just CSUN? Is there a specific
Right,
department?
there's a Department of Gerontology, and the professor is Professor Sheets, Deborah Sheets, S-H-E-E-T-S. She's the one putting it together, and this may be the first of the kind in America, and it'll be right here at CSUN. So it's going to be very important. I got to tell you, when I was a little kid in Brooklyn, I never thought I'd be a keynote speaker at some college, and look at this. I'm now a keynote speaker in some college. But I'm only speaking for a half hour, so I won't put the people to sleep. Yes.
What high school in Brooklyn did you go to?
Thomas Jefferson High School. That put out more doctors and PhDs percentage-wise than any other high school in the United States. In my school was Danny Kaye, Shelley Winters. I grew up with Barbara Streisand, Woody Allen, Neil Diamond. We all grew up at the same time in the same place. And look what happened to us. Right? Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Doctor. Absolutely wonderful.
If you want the book, it's here.
Okay.
I'll sign it if you want.
Okay, we're going to move on now to our regular scheduled workshops, committee reports. So
yes.
let's move on to programs, public information. Harry?
Yes, I have a short report. The Council on Aging has many interesting programs coming your way over this channel in the next few months. We will be airing programs on affordable housing, senior health issues, fall prevention, how to stay in your own home, and what if you have to move or downsize. Please watch our local newspapers, The Star and the Acorn, and look for flyers at the Global Senior Center and the library for announcements of these programs. We also welcome you to come and be in the audience at these broadcasts. The broadcast air from the boardroom at the third level, next to the dancing fountains at the Civic Arts Plaza or City Hall. If you are watching from home, the broadcast will be on local Channel 10 and start at 1 p.m. on the first Wednesday of each month. Thank you.
Thank you, Harry. Do you have anything on the Senior Services Directory, Harry?
Not at this time.
Okay. All right. Leonard, disaster planning?
Thank you. Leo said, do everybody out there remember what this acronym stands for Leave Early or Stay and Defend. Leave Early or Stay and Defend has been a lot in the news recently. Wildfire safety in Australia has been a big deal. Al, my friend, hi Al, has a PhD in physics and 5 different careers. He also has a lovely daughter who makes cellos by hand. I'm sure the two of them, Al and his cello-making daughter, would agree with me, and I hope you will too, that wildfire safety depends on planning. Now, you need to repeat that at least 5 times this week and for the next 5 days. Preparation, practice, and sticking with the plan no matter what. Thank you, sir.
Excellent, Leo. All right, Senior of the Year. I don't think we have any particular announcements about Senior Year other than we are still looking for nominations from the various and sundry caregivers organizations. So if you have someone you wish to nominate for Senior of the Year, please do so. And if you don't know how to do that, call 449-2743 for a nomination form, or I believe they're also available at the Coble Center. Okay, Mel, we'll move on to liaison reports.
Thank you, Jim. I guess the first report is Area Agency on Aging, Ventura County. And we mentioned last time that we're having a Boomer event, and it's going to be on April 18th at the Reagan Library, and it will be, they'll have speakers and so forth. Lunch will be provided, and the speakers will be focused on information that boomers can use. And this is an East County event. We did one last July in West County. It was very successful, and we're hoping this one will be even better. And as a reward, there will be a free admission to the Reagan Center to look at there's a new exhibit there, I think, on the Magna Carta. Jim, you want to add something, please?
Well, yes, just a couple of things. There are basically 6 different seminars that you can attend, plus over 30 exhibits that you can visit. And it also comes with a free continental breakfast, so you don't want to miss out on that. Again, the number for reservations is area code 805-477-7300. And the program is called Catch the Wave, Midlife, Crisis or Opportunity. Here's a good chance to find out. Okay. Anything else on...
Jim, may I just ask, what time does it start? That's not...
10 to 1.
10 to 1, thank you.
See if I'm right about
Okay. Thank you, Jim. That will be our highlight for the next month or so. The Area Agency on Aging, the grant program, we're still kind of trying to struggle with the budget, dealing with it, and that's something that will be a big challenge for all of us. The next program that we want to hear about, liaison report, the RSVP, Retired Senior Volunteer Program. Martin, would you give us some words, please?
The RSVP Income Tax Assistance Program continues on through April the 10th. Goes from 9 to 3:30 on Wednesday at the Newberry Park Library, and on Thursday and Friday at the Global Senior Adult Center. RSVP is also looking for volunteers in conjunction with Senior Concerns. They're recruiting volunteers for a new telephone reassurance program. And volunteers will provide regular telephone calls to isolated seniors who are stuck in their home, either with disabilities or illnesses, and just cannot get out. There will be training provided by Senior Concerns. The time is very flexible. They'll kind of fit the program into your time availability. If you're interested in becoming a volunteer for this useful service, You can call RSVP at 805-381-2742. And RSVP would also like to receive donations and also people to shop at their boutique located in the Global Senior Adult Center.
Thank you, Martin. And remember, folks, based on this wonderful lecture by Dr. Bresky, volunteering is good for your health. Not only does it help people, but it helps yourself. And last but not least, of course, is our report on the Global Center. And I want to introduce Andrea Koval, Director at the Center. But I also the Council would like to thank Andrea and the staff at the Center for helping us host a wonderful community meeting.
Amen.
That many people were at. It's a wonderful part of our Senior Master Plan program, and I think it led us into something new that I think we're going to probably be doing more often. So please, I want to thank you, and please thank your staff for us. Andrea.
Well, thank you for the kind words. I really enjoyed the program myself, and there was actually quite a few people there that only came in once in a while for something and didn't even realize a whole host of services that we had there. So it was kind of an eye-opener for quite a few of them at the tables, bringing up ideas, and then other people like yourselves or others that were knowledgeable at the table said, "Oh, well, it's already here." So that was kind of fun. So it was good for a lot of people in a lot of ways, and there were some really good ideas shared. One thing I want to bring up now is Super Science Sunday. This was a really fun program with the Discovery Center, and also in conjunction with Canal Recreation and Park District. And this event takes place at the Global Senior Adult Center on Sunday, March 22nd from 3 p.m. to 8 p.m. And they are really, really expanding it this year because they're also using the Teen Center at the same time. And it's for the whole family. It's for seniors. It's for kids. It's, you name it, anybody can come. And I'm really interested in not going myself this year. I thought I'd go over some of the highlights. They're actually going to have for speakers astronaut Marsha Ivins, Ian McLean, astrophysicist and professor, Jane Houston Jones, a JPL senior outreach specialist and Cassini programs, and Stephen J. Edberg, who's an astrophotographer. And then they're going to have lots of different hands-on science demonstrations, making a comment how space exploration directly impacts your life, amazing images of the universe, land a spacecraft on the moon. They're going to have an inflatable planetarium, so it'll be like a star lab, and asking questions of an astronomy expert. The scientist is going to be in. And we're going to have a really fun space shuttle cafe that will be there, so you can also order some food and get some things. And it's from a real DC-3 fuselage that looks like a space shuttle. So that's Saturday, March 22nd from 3 to 8 p.m. I will be getting some tickets at the Global Senior Adult Center that people can purchase in advance, and adults are $10 and senior or students is $8, and children under 4 are free. And a group of 6 or more, so if you want to grab your kids and your grandkids, $5 per person, advance sales only on that one. So anyway, this was a really fun program, and I would come to this one. This one's going to be a really, really good one. All right, so that's that one. That's for everybody, intergenerational. I'll go over the real quickies here. I'm glad you brought up the income tax preparation service. I just wanted to remind everybody you do not need a reservation. It's just first come, first serve. And they're doing gangbusters and getting everybody done. We've already served over, I think, 400 people so far. So it's a really good program. Now, the other fun thing we've got is We have our whole We system at the Global Senior Adult Center. And we have instruction times, and then we have general use times. And right now we have it for bowling, tennis, baseball, boxing, and golf. So it's been quite fun. We've had quite a few people learning, and then they're coming back in to play. And it's really fun when you have 2 or 3 other people with you. especially if you're trying to beat them at baseball or golf or tennis. So it's a really good eye-hand coordination. It's fun watching. We still have our Professors and Pastry series. It's always on the first and third Wednesdays of the month, and that's through CSUCI. And we just had a March 4th one will be tonight, and that'll be how the movies began. And then on the 18th will be about photography, predecessors, and pioneers. We've got 2 new fun programs that you can make some new friends, get out and do some new things. We've got a Mix and Mingle, which will be Wednesday, March 11th from 1 to 3:30. So it's for anybody, newcomers, patrons who are already at the center. It's a group that's going to get together to make new friends, discuss a variety of topics and interests. And Laura Engel will be the facilitator. And then the other one is Meet and Greet Active Singles 50+. This was getting started by a young woman named Anne, and she's going to meet at the center, and this one's going to focus on making some new friends, socialize, go to points of interest, meet at the movies, interesting speakers. So they're both fitting a real neat niche of meeting friends and staying connected. Our teen versus senior billiards tournament, so we already did our senior tournament, so we've got our main 6 to try and beat the teens, is going to be Thursday, March 12th from 5 to 9. That's always a fun program to come and watch and see the teens and then their families and, of course, all of us there. And we're going to have a St. Patrick's Tea Dance, March 15th from 1 to 3:30, so that's a Sunday. So everybody can kind of come out. You can come and dance, have some fun, dress in your green. Tickets are currently on sale, and they're $8 at the center. So come on in, do that, so we can have a fun dance. And then St. Patrick's Day, we're going to just continue here. We have Deals on Wheels, and that's through the Area Agency on Aging and the Senior Nutrition Action Council. They're going to bring in a whole bunch of fun items, jewelry, clothing, books, household gadgets, you name it, they've got it. And the prices are really incredibly cheap. But it's good stuff. I've bought quite a few things there. I've even used them as presents, so it's just not junky junk. It's fun stuff. The good thing about all that is, though, is all the money goes directly to SNAC, and that money is then held in account for us till we need to use it for our own nutrition program at the Global Senior Adult Center. So every single penny will come back to us. Then we are also doing a lunch that day, and we're doing 2 seatings of about 60-65 people per seating. So you definitely have to call in and get your name on the list. You just can't show up for that one, otherwise we won't have a seat. So you can dress up, and we're going to have corned beef and cabbage and raffle prizes. So definitely call in your reservation for that. I'll give the number. It's 805-381-2746 if you want a lunch reservation on March 17th. And for something out in the future here, we've got April 25th from 12:30 to 3, which is a Saturday. It's Youth Stamp Day, and our local Thousand Oaks Stamp Club will be sponsoring that, and they get free kits and starter kits for the youth, and information on stamps, and it's a very good fun event, and that'll be at the center on that particular Saturday. And of course, don't forget Susan Cashman and our Ms. Senior Pageant. So we're putting the word out. We've got all sorts of information at the Global Senior Adult Center, so if you didn't catch it on the television show, go ahead and call our center. It's 805-381-2744 if you need more information on any of the programs or anything I spoke about. Any questions real quick from anybody? All right, I think we did it.
All right, we're down to commissioner comments. I'm assuming we don't have any.
I'd just like to make one comment.
All right,
not
Gene.
a big deal. But at the community meeting, I asked, probably half the people that were there on the way out. I just wanted to thank them for coming. And the response that came was almost 100% of those people said, no, thank you people for asking us to come. I was really impressed with that.
Yeah, it was a great meeting.
It really was.
Productive.
Thank you.
All right, if there is no other business before this council, I declare this meeting adjourned.